Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, living again, amazing, spectacular, wondrous Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero, site defender of the fatherland, off here to a 1v1 owner. Crossroads in the north, it is Iroha, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Take on the role here of the 314th Infantry Division here with Osttruppen doctrine, fusing well Osttruppen, entrenching tools, artillery field officer, the supply drop and relative support with infantry panzerfaust pack bullets. As far as the south it is Sillycat, fighting for America, freedom, democracy, rolling out here with the 1st Armored Division featuring mechanized with mechanized groups, reserve armor, cavalry riflemen, the mortar half-track and combined arms with triple. If you get a fast dart truck here, of course allowing Sillycat to be able to quickly grab territory, then of course later upgrade it with a 50 cal for combat ability, reasons fortifying the calf point against any German incursions. I mean, we've got Iroha with a double Osttruppen start. So far, fairly box standard play here, straight out of the, well, any sort of, shall we say, tournament top. Anyways, as always, do a big thanks to my patron supporters, these champions, these heroes of the Propagandacast to keep me in the business. You too can join the ranks by pledging on Patreon. You can always just donate. Links in the description. Always comment, like, share, subscribe, press the bell button, all that jazz. We got push westwards here with the MG42, the Osttruppen. Pioneers also following in there. Steady approach there with the single Osttruppen squad being sent eastwards to grab a bit of territory as well, extend the frontage a bit. Second rifle squad there for Sillycat. Western point being seized there. Pioneer advancing up, MG42 covering up there aggressively. Standard stuff so far. Rifleman advancing. Got a third Osttruppen squad out here for Iroha. Again, very common because again you don't have to sort of deal with some of the typical issues the Wehrmacht has to deal with in the early game. You can sort of basically bypass, which again is why it's very popular. And again, while it's good, they're going to turn it down a bit. The problem is if they don't replace it to some degree, it's not really going to change much. In some ways, they might still just stick to Osttruppen because again, it's still going to be better than just relying on your grenadiers, which is really, you know, the issue of the balance patch you're still going to have to somehow look at. Osttruppen up the eastern side here. Rather than going points here, we got the dart truck following up as well. East side here, we got the tank truck going down there for Sillycat. We got the Osttruppen rifle squad here. Osttruppen moving in as well. Bit of skirmishing there. Rifle squad versus Osttruppen. Should be a win for the Osttruppen eventually, since then heavy cover. And the rifle squad there's an odds in the building, but still there's some slight advantage there. Osttruppen moving up. Dart truck pulling back here. Adding the 50 cal there. Very good. For a fast steady advance here for Iroha with MG42 backing up. Very good. And we do get some tech up as well. Quickly diving into the building there to crew that one with an MG42 dart truck flying back a bit further. Rifle squad flying that as well here. Sillycat playing very cautiously here versus Iroha currently. We also got tech there with the platoon command post being upgraded for Sillycat. The MG42 flying one, not popping into the building here. Perhaps worried about something appearing out of nowhere and hitting with a grenade maybe. Hard to say that. We're off got suppressed. Rifle squad being backed up with dart truck assault in the building. Very intense centre focus here between Sillycat and Iroha at the moment. Right, Pioneers on the west side. Flames from Lloyd Hub, Burnouts and Yankees. Very good. Also rolling up here. Could lay down some sandbags soon. Certainly a good idea there for Iroha to use the ability with once it becomes available. Pioneers flanking in. Rifle squad push back. They say no chance against the flamethrower there flanking in. Very good there. East side we got the reactions moving up there for Sillycat. Dart truck moving about. Osttruppen heading eastwards. Dart truck further moving out. Bit of skirmishing there. The echelons around it. 50 cal there on the way for Mr. Sillycat. Also enforcing the Pioneer something as well. Puns are going to be on the way there for Iroha. So far, standard Wehrmacht build order versus a fairly standard American build order as well here. But of course, it's not just a build order, it's about how you use it. Osttruppen punching back the rifle squad here, and again, Sillycat's going to, I think, have to like ignore the center, like either try hard push westwards, either with their opponent there, I think trying to stick up east side. I think more attacks around the center is not particularly great for Sillycat at the moment, and again, that's going to be strained to every German gun in an entrenched position. Not particularly efficient, not going to make like what you call a lot of amazing progress very fast. So some other path of attack here has to be found for Sillycat, or this is going to end up going fastly nowhere for the Americans, but you know, great places for the Germans. This sort of stuff with iron crosses. But there you go, we got to move in the westwards here for Sillycat, hitting the western fuel point there. Very good, they're not exerting a lot of effort to that yet. Ambulance the way here, and otherwise they're still providing most pressure eastwards. You're going to look to counterattack here into the Germans. 50 cal there is being left here to defend the car point against any German attempts there. Slow advance here. Bit on infantry line based on the dart truck parts next to farpost. The Osttruppen lieutenant with his Thompson to do most of the work there. Western fuel point cut off. Bit of scrum from around the Osttruppen being shot to bits. That's not the greatest move there for Iroha. There you go, Lieutenant charging the Osttruppen there in a bit of a dicey spot there out in the open now. They're going to be top. Frey here to defend the Dark Truck. That Osttruppen scored will be a bit of a pain, but he can still be able to get the fuel point here. West side here, Rafscourt going up there. Rafscourt pushed back by the Panzer of the year. Definitely a bit more solid fit than the Osttruppen. Much more solid fit, and typically as the Osttruppen builds, with Osttruppen builds, not as them, but with them, you typically, I mean, unless you're really like, you know, going for like, I don't know, Halloween parties, some other costume parties, an Osttruppen build, but with an Osttruppen build, you typically want Panzergrenadiers at some point because the Osttruppen tend to scale terribly. It's either you need to be like, you know, Guderian in terms of armor play. We got the armor car out there though for Iroha. The 222, like the Punch B wagon, based off a more regular car design by Horst. Hawk? I can't remember how to pronounce that one. So, little fun fact. In fact, a lot of the German early designs, like armored cars and half, was usually based off more civilian purposes, or at least non-combat vehicles. That was sort of, shall we say, armoured up, and they had some guns too. And so, little fun fact there. Dodging up here for Sillycat, 4 kills, veterans 1. We got the Cop, we got two Osttruppen from the out in the open. The Osttruppen really can't hit the brawls that are banned from the inside. Parties in the centre. Telemines on the way, very good. Sillycat could consider counter rifling, but I think with the Stuart there, he's likely to consider the Stuart light tank. Obviously, be a good pick, and this is also what Iroha is expecting, laying down the telemines there, hoping to bait in the Stuart light tank into that, and of course, blow the powder. You know, if that fails, you know, draw maybe some other tank into it. But so far, Iroha continues to exert great map control here versus Sillycat, and Sillycat is currently struggling quite a bit here with it. Partly again due to think to focus on the centre, and again not playing around enough here with Iroha, trying to keep them guessing as to what's going on. But there you go, heading eastwards aggressively. You can see that Iroha meanwhile playing a much more aggressive fluid play here versus Sillycat and the Americans. Are much more seeking broader control here against the armies. Can also start laying down sandbags now with the Osttruppen. Could be a consideration there to do some. Most players don't consider it so much, but I would recommend it. Stuart there on the way for Sillycat, and we got the Pack 40 for Iroha. In this case, the Pack Bulletin allowing it to get out a lot faster. Popular with some players, and again, they just like him to get out a pack fast, allows them to react fast, like in the sudden development, like your sudden losses, they can just quick go poof, almost instant pack. Like, this is an issue, probably one of the most, shall I say, impactful bulletins, and because again, like 50% off the build time is actually pretty huge. But there you go. In fact, we do get sandwich from the Osttruppen. Thumbs up there to Sillycat, or Iroha, not Sillycat.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
It does not deserve any thumbs up, at least not currently. Battle squad flip on the centre there again, pushing eastwards once more, but still focusing a bit much on the centre, westwards here. We got the armoured car, we got there, Sillycat. The newest, we got the Stuart light tank out there, coming westwards with it, coming eastwards. There's obviously the centre route as well, but we wouldn't recommend it.
Is taking our territory.
Not multiple telemines around the centre building there. Obviously, where Sillycat is expecting, or Iroha, I mean, expecting Sillycat to around with their light tanks and medium armour. Now, heavy armour since they have gone for mechanized and not heavy cavalry. Pioneer surrounded by the Stuart light tank. Quick retreat there from Iroha, got the Pack 40 nearby, there's a punch up the corner theatre. Sort of, shall I say, standard anti-tank with the German army, but the reality was they didn't have enough of them, so many divisions, depending on their, shall I say, grade of quality, would usually have to make do with either, say, the Pack 38, which had a 15mm gun, or convert it to his 3 divisional field guns, which are actually commonly used as anti-tank guns for the Germans as well. I don't know, they converted them, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I think, or something, but I think in also a lot of cases just used them as they were. Either way, those were also used a lot there, for example, with some of the infantry divisions in Normandy, for example. So a little fun fact there. Little fun fact there. Some had to make do with even smaller grey anti-tank guns, like we did the Pack 36. Also known as the Army door-knocking device, or Heeres Anklopfgerät. Push up the center straight to the MD42's going to. So we do have the Mitrus, good work there by Iroha. A Sillycat, not Iroha, damn it. Armour car here, there's the Dark Truck quickly stepping on it, getting out of that one. 50 car finally with 2 with armor 50 rounds. That's actually a good chance of getting wiped. So we came for there for Iroha, but no. Narrowly managed to bench behind the hedges there. Westwards, we've got to push up. They really want to start the MD42, but again, without something more explosive, it's going to be a bit risky, but still seemingly working out. He should consider popping instant the armor piercing rounds. Stood engaging the Osttruppen, slowly pushing them back. Still rough situation here for Sillycat versus Iroha. Iroha's also taking up, continuing to push for the Panzer IV. That's going to be a real big use there for Sillycat, who's going to need anti-tank guns, since they got no tanks forthcoming anytime soon. So they'll have to go for the Captain. They're going to have to go for, I think, at least 2 anti-tank guns to stand a chance here against Iroha. Meanwhile, Westfield, they've got a bigger push from the infantry. Got a Panzer IV holding up. More telemines here from Iroha. Said good. Pack 40 in the centre. Osttruppen forwards. 5th Guard holding back. Stuart there being fixed. And back here, tripping forcing in. And there goes support on the crop there for Iroha. The Panzer Unterstützung scopes. And we will very likely see a Panzer IV here from Iroha. And it could go for the Ostwind, which I don't think we're in a position to consider doing so. But we'll likely go for the Panzer IV, which again is a nice, safe choice. Westwards there, we got some better progress this time around here from Sillycat. Much better progress. There we go, Captain S. Sillycat at this stage, I imagine he's under absolutely no illusion where this is going to go. This is particularly on a map like Crossroads, which is more resource, meaning you fall behind a map control. And Crossroads, it can much more faster spiral out of control compared to other 1v1 maps. So, going there for the Captain, probably going to push up 2 tank guns. 3 they could go for, I think that'd be a bit excessive, but still, 20 tank guns here seems very likely and very helpful. Ground Western field point. You'll have focusing him in the centre here versus Sillycat. Keep careful not to time mission too hard. They're going to the RP from Amsterdam. Very good, very good. Good getting blasted there by the MB4 2 into the RP from Amsterdam. He's doing a ton of damage. And falling back here from the centres. Well, yeah, again, it's firmly dug in. Could consider Matilda to help break this sort of stalemate there. Mortars could be an easy addition here for Sillycat versus Iroha. Could also go for the pack howitzer. That would also, of course, be a strong addition there versus the Germans. Punch squad going up there. Panzer IV on the way there for Iroha, and the infantry to be shown here in this sector. And there we go. And one entering away there for Sillycat. And again, I'd expect 2 here, but they could stick to 1. Starts with missing points. We've got weapon racks up here, BARs galore, and of course some bazookas for added anti-tank. And goes to the mortar. Very good pick here, very good. Particularly on Crossroads, which does have a tendency towards stalemate situation due to the way the map is designed. Mortars can be a really helpful tool for breaking through these stalemates. On the east side here we got reactions versus the Osttruppen squads. Again, no cover versus actual cover. And even the mindful reactions are actually, again, in a fairly good position, because that's just how terrible Osttruppen are outside of cover. I mean, practically a grandmother might, work better than Osttruppen at a cover. We've got Ralph Squad Lieutenant here now, entering the Captain of the Pioneers, and the Care Pack 40 armored car nearby. Pack's not going to do much against the infantry in the armored car. It's going to try to withstand the sheer magnitude of infantry here that Sillycat is throwing at the negative. Going to shake the Pack 40 the Panzer from this with the down actually shown here by Sillycat. They're pretty great. And these Panzer 4 falling back here, and to take a fine way there, the M1. You get a marked target there from the dog truck before it went up in flames. A last sacrifice. Which would later be immortalized in Hollywood with Brad Pitt as the main actor. Anyway, street line taking before they go flanking the Panther, landing a nice hit here. Shell shot. Could have tried for point blank engine shot though. That ability is incredibly difficult to use, and there's a reason why they're changing it quite out a bit, because the ability is just so tough to use. Like, in all the years of playing the game, I've only managed to use point blank engine shot once. That was recently, actually. So yeah. They almost got the Pack 4, but they're going on taking nothing as well here. And of course the Pack 4 as well. Iroha's armor situation suddenly looking a lot less strong. Saves the Panther 4, which is huge. But the loss of the Panther here will be a significant problem for Iroha. They will need to replace them, and of course get out more armor in the process, I think. So it's going to need numbers. Ostrum there, opening up the Pack 4 is being held away by a few Ralph squads. But again, out in the open, the Ostrum, aren't going to be hitting a lot. I mean, even like, Imperial Stormtroopers at a Star Wars game at that point hit better. We got Ostrum as Ralph squad here charging in there. The Ostrum pushing them back. Panther 4, they need repairs badly. We got more Pioneers here. Very good. Also going for tier 4 at this ground state is a bit ambitious by Iroha. Again, typically I recommend a bit more medium armor if we're going straight for tier 4 unless you are very, very far ahead. And even then, you typically want at least one more medium tank out. Mostly because there's not really that much that's in Tier 4 that's straight anyways, unless you're Refero, in which case the Panzerwerfer is also good. But if you're not Refero, you're typically better off not bothering with the Panzerwerfer. At which point it's really only the Sturm Puncher going for Tier 4, in which case, you know, well, unless you really badly need it, you know, go for other stuff. In this case, you know, probably some more to be very good addition for you to hold more than anything. Meanwhile, we got Sillycat's mortar, the M181mm mortar. While scoping out here with Lieutenant in tow, we got a few BRs up. It's worth noting, despite him going for the weapon racks here, Sillycat at this stage of the game has still not equipped a lot of his men with anything. You know, bring up another 50 cal, very good. Panzer almost fixed up there for Iroha. Panzer interviews would still be an excellent addition to commit to Austin Survival Squad. And as always, remember, they do need to be covered. Okay, that Panzer although definitely evened out the engagement a bit here.
Now authorized to request more powerful units.
I've got routed, got the cuff on the Lieutenant.
Heavy machine gun team, ready for orders.
There we go. Not MD42, but the 50 cal out there for Sillycat for Freedom and Democracy. The first armoured. East side here, we got the Austrian charging in. Carpon hit the Western fueling lost here. Much better fluid in play here by Sillycat by now, starting to get a lot more flexible, a lot more aggressive, you know, a lot more maneuverable against his opponent's vehicle. Then here we got the heavy Panzerkorps here for Iroha. Spaces there being pursued by the Panzer IV, like something out of a nightmare. Fairly lenient nightmares, the Panzer IV seemingly misses a lot of its shots. Keeps blowing apart wooden carts. At that point it's less of a nightmare, just something more like a video game cutscene. Reinforcing against Ralph's Lieutenant, Pioneer's been up there. The Panzerkorps is ready. When we turn the tank that it's done, Panzer IV wouldn't be an entirely bad choice, but arguably mortars could also do the trick just as well, provide smoke into more flexible tools here. We got 463, 289 in this regard. Iroha is far ahead of Sillycat. You also got trouble up for the Austrian. We do get the Panzerwerfer. We do get the Panzerwerfer. Again, obviously once you just blast the tanks from a safe distance, it's just the Panzerwerfer tends to be, well, a bit finicky about it. At this point again, unless you're referee, you're best not bothering with it, because you're referee, you're like just going to try and rush your opponent while they've got everything in the base and just murder them that way, which is, you know, quite efficient. It's just the Panzerwerfer otherwise has terrible accuracy.
A capture point is under attack.
I'm just going to get behind the 50 cal there, but get a kill there, very nice. And then get suppressed. Panzerwerfer on the way there for Iroha. Plus another MD42, not a bad pick there by Iroha, not a bad pick, and we got the Panzerwerfer as well there. Meanwhile, we got armor ready there for Sillycat with the Major ready to lead the way. Mine spotting, cleared up, very good. Osttruppen takes an artillery from the mortar. Close to veterans one there. Panzer being pulled forwards. Panzerwerfer is typically, well, really only part of a Panzer division, which point to be part of the artillery element. Little fun fact there. Double hits there, Panzer IV there. Nasty hit there on Iroha. Ooh, almost lost the Panzer there, and we got Panzer flying away. Clustered up units here, different upgrade for Sillycat. Great though for Iroha. Except, yeah, kind of whiffed there a bit. I mean, I also got the Lieutenant, but I'm fairly certain, you know, at this point, we prefer the anti-tanking crews were the ones being, you know, beaten into oblivion. Tunnel mine destroyed. Eastern points being dug in here by the Yankees. Very good set. Panzer rolling back. Back here in Sillycat space, we got bazookas on them for Lieutenant. Forming up an anti-tank. An interesting choice of using the Lieutenant rather than, say, you know, the reassuring team or, I don't know, the Major. But the Lieutenant is definitely unorthodox. Definitely unorthodox. Could have been a misclick. Perhaps they thought, you know, this was the bazooka or the BR and you like, you know, in a hurry. I don't know. It is a possibility. But normally you see, like, you know, again, Lieutenant always be upgraded with BARs in those situations. Customer Ralph squad here. Panzer IV on the way. Panzer heading back here. Full kill still. Continuing to fire again here. Pioneers advancing. Straight down the Panzer IV. I've seen him punching through there. Finally sneaking about. Kill them with Pioneer. Continue to fire the Panzer again. You can see the Sillycat is pulling back the tank. It's probably expecting a Panzer barrage soon and hopes that, you know, it's just going to blast away the blind and just waste an entire Panzer barrage, though. Technically, could aim their straight for the tank guns and still absolutely whiff. Yeah, that's the, you know, state of the Panzerwerfer. In his Rifleman Lieutenant, Major, all convergence in against the Ultra Got victory point there. Panzer moving up, but it's heavily damaged, so you really shouldn't be doing that. You really should not be doing since the tank completely knocked it out. There you go, quickly backs off with it again. The lack of Panzer when he's field is a bit apparent. He's again, there's no great assault infantry to push with against Sillycat. And there you go, Panzer barrage off again. It's got to go with the armored car. Kind of did alright there, I guess. 3 kills, but not particularly impressive either. And at the same time, I feel like this should have been part of a larger assault, you know, I'm just fine, you know, the opponent just pulls back reinforced. This should be part of like a bigger attack, so the disruption set in from the Panther, and at the same time infantry and armoured pushes through there, so that could have done a bit better there by Iroha. Sometimes you just want like you blast your artillery blindly, you want to use your artillery as part of a larger attack, a large concerted effort. Meanwhile, got the 76 mission on the way there for Sillycat. Of course, at this point, Iroha could use that more armed route, still could go for another Panther 4. But again, isn't really, so any potential arm advantage with ours I think could have been there for Iroha is also gone, which is also typically why you want to wait for the heavy Panzer Corps, because a lot of the time you're usually better off trying to pull an immediate numbers advantage with your armor rather than, say, you know, trying to go for the bigger tanks. In a lot of cases, like again, the Storm Panzer is probably like the closest like something you might to try and push ahead for further advantage, but even that is a bit more narrow, a bit more of a specialist unit, so typically you want some medium armor to do the heavier lifting there before pushing for it. So that's something worth keeping in mind there. Going for the Storm Panzer again, Iroha clearly a bit indecisive. First Panzer going to this, then Panzer 4. Finally the Panzerwerfer bolts going for another Pack 40. We shall see how this works up. We've got the session showing up, opens up the Osttruppen, misses. 5th cal there, halfway done. Shot fired, whiffed. East side of the Osttruppen, 5th cal there, slight flank there by Iroha. Thumbs up, Osttruppen blasts out their cover. And routed. Panzer 4 setting up, halfway to Invention C2. German engaging. Panzer 4 advancing for the glory of Deutschland. Panzer 4 digging up the move there. Panzer 4 halfway there. West side being lost again. Sillycat now remains a lot more flexible, whereas Iroha is now getting a lot more static. It's almost like, you know, their early behaviors of, shall we say, reverse. You know, early on, you know, it's the aggressive one. Sillycat was the one, you know, more static and a bit more robotic in how they move. And all of a sudden, Iroha is more robotic, whereas Sillycat's now suddenly the dashing, aggressive commander with the, you know, the Hollywood smile, while huffing a pack of Marlboros. And it's Panzer for these hits, misses. Pack 40 up to DC8, Panzer for 40. Could be a chance to take out there. Go combat, blitzkrieg. Not combat, just regular blitzkrieg. Tactics. Takes a lot of hits, then pulls back. Eventually, 2 good games should snag it. Because losing the Panzer 4 needs to back off for that one. Schnell, before that is combusted. Storm hunting up there with his 150mm gun. Shoots and, that was a bit of a whiff there for Iroha. Loaded up. Got the anti-tank recruited by Panther Barrage following up here. Almost got both anti-tank. Almost got the Sherman as well. Close. But no follow-up here from Iroha once more. Partly because, again, the Osttruppen aren't really good at follow-up. Because, again, they're not assault troops. Even with a light machine gun, they are not assault troops. Sorry about that. So yeah, right now, Iroha there needs to, you know, get some fire into the heart and stomach and push ahead, but instead they're kind of struggling because the Osttruppen, as I always have to point out, aren't exactly a great assault force. I mean, your opponent, you manage to like convince your opponent out, and you know you might be able to bluff your way through, but most players probably won't fall for it. Osttruppen being shot to bits here. Couldn't really get into the car and get the car bonus. Pushing about, they got the armored car being knocked out. Panzer 4 blazing through the lieutenant, captain and machine they're falling back. Good Panzer push there. Osttruppen in the centre. Making ring about. Looks like the engine got destroyed. Good work there by Iroha. Maybe forward to joining and supporting here.
Enemy is
Starting the
taking
major.
our
Then it's
territory.
armor support there as well. Another showing away there for Sillycat. That's going to be a problem there for Iroha. We'll need more armor. Meanwhile, the info's getting shot to bits. Lots of BARs there laying down a supreme volley of death. Storm has been fixed up here. Interesting enough prioritizing the armored car. I mean, obviously the armored car can be fixed faster, so to an extent I get it, but at the same time, I'd probably in this case prioritize the Sturmpanzer over the Shooter 2 because the Sturmpanzer is obviously a bit more important at this stage than the armored car. That's one of them, shall we say, armored triage, if you will, this, which is like, you know, it's not just about, you know, which can fix faster, sometimes it's also like which one is going to have a bigger impact at this point. Well, I'm probably not saying anything controversial when I'm saying an armoured car is probably a little less important than a Sturmpanzer. If it was, you know, an AC, you could argue maybe, but the 2-2, not so much. Lost of Sturmpanzer there as well anyway, so again, should have prioritised that. Panther firing. Close quarters barrage, might be work on something there, take out the anti-tank gun. No. Panther 4, they call for supporting him, but isn't. Yet our situation remains rather grim. Got 252, 289. Tank Shamarami. Entertain numbers to that pack for the moving up. They got a flank there for 50 cal. Definitely a problem. Got a 2 support called in here. Fire around the Panzer Force out of commission. A stinging blow here to the Germans. Got railroad support running in from above. Cat moving in here. That's good wiped out there. And gone. Bit of a stinging blow there to Sillycat, but not something that's going to necessarily swing the battle greatly in Iroha's favour anyways. Maybe they get another wipe somehow with this, but yeah. No more tanks. Meanwhile, Iroha has both Shermans at their disposal. There's 2 tanks for Iroha. I mean, there's obviously some options there. They can bait the tanks into an anti-tank kill zone. That could still maybe salvage the game here for Iroha. I mean, obviously they still got a chunk of infantry, even if they're Osttruppen. There's some support weapons. There's the Panzerwerfer. But, you know, I definitely need to sharpen up the game a bit here. Definitely feels like a few too many awkward instances are occurring, which is definitely benefiting Sillycat a lot. Look for the perhaps the Sherman. Oh, the Sherman up as well here. There we go. Target weak point. Showing a bit of trouble with the packs. Bit of trouble. And down it goes. Down it goes. Smoke's been off as well here. Sherman kaput, Sherman kaput.
We just lost a medium tank.
Awesome one's being knocked out here by the Sherman. Pack 40's moving out. Shot fired, missed. Got the car on there. Grand Legion point, this is Osttruppen. 5th cal holding up, Sherman towards the centre. Got the Panther unleashing a full barrel sheet close to the T2. 5th cal there, routed. Rockets been done, taking out the entire gun crew. That's pretty lucky there for Iroha. But there's still the Shermans to deal with. Iroha, I think at this point is going to have to go for the Stutte to have a decent chance against that. And really also would benefit from some Panzer in these. At the very worst, at the very least, an artillery officer can somewhat do the job there as well of it. But there definitely needs to be something with a more assault element than the Osttruppen attached to the armor holding back here for Iroha. Panzer there first, got the more to go for him to fire another volley. Bit of scram to the west, we get the Osttruppen the Rifle Squad. Sherman halfway done, that's going to be 2 Shermans after they lost 1 there. First one sitting out there, it's eventually 14 kills, definitely a threat there to Iroha. Can go for the Stutte 3G now. Of course, they may go for the Panther 4 up north, got the Osttruppen Rifle Squad here. Quickly falling back with the sound of the Sherman in there. 200 points selected for Iroha versus Sillycat 287, and there you go. Another Sherman ready here for the front line, for freedom, democracy. Fun fact, American tank crews actually weren't particularly keen on the 76mm Sherman. They preferred the 75mm Sherman because here's the thing though, it's all tend to get like overlooked a lot, but tanks also have to deal with infantry. And the 76mm Sherman's gun was less great for it because it used high velocity shells, and the thing is, higher velocity means there's less room for explosives inside the tank because the shell up, on the outside has to be thicker. And that meant that the 76mm Sherman was a little less popular with tank crews because they still prefer the 75mm Sherman, and it's much better high explosive rounds for dealing with infantry. So, little fun fact there, little fun fact. Awesome being in the big crew there. Got Philly called in here right in the midst of Iroha's defensive position. His headshot, you see the pattern of the fire rain down. Not badly trying to aim there, I think, but in this case, the back just wants to go a bit waffle. Got a target point here on the Sherman though. Great, could possibly take out the other pack forces a bit faster. It is smoking off as well from the Sherman. 2 thumbs up there to Iroha. But also go for none. Got another pan for the halfway down field. Got the pack showing west here. 17 kills, really 2 there, fine weight packs. Being obfuscated with smoke again, it makes it much harder here for Iroha to coordinate the defense from the sunny smoke blocking off like half of it. And again, the utility of smoking, even like attacks ground, the shots will be less accurate, which is also an important detail to keep in mind. And what's this here with the Osttruppen? So yeah, this smoke will really throw off Iroha's defense. Got another Panther almost ready. Panther over there is slowly getting ready for another volley. Also worth noting, its counter battery ability will be replaced with another volley barrel, basically one with a lower curve, which means you have the more command flow terrain, but on the hand it should be faster and perhaps in some ways more accurate. At least more devastating towards infantry. So now pinching the front off and into got 50 cal Panther. There you go. Panther round to do in the machine guns here. I think blast into oblivion here. Panther should also ready to fight again. In fact it is. We've got another anti-tank here for Sillycat, and so we've got the Pioneers on the west side. We've got the Osttruppen going to the point here. Anti-tank ready for Sillycat for freedom and democracy. Panther over 15 kills, Vetsy 2. Waiting for the right target. From less than point. Panther flying away, got a infantry flanking the Osttruppen in the heavy cover. Less great for Iroha, less great. Treat them, great for Sherman. Osttruppen about to get wiped out. Armored car setting out here, Panther will shoot some aces. Osttruppen being murdered out in the open here. The open there, got Panther flying off here. Back to action, there you go. Wipes the machine gun crew entirely. But can they follow up? Also, more here with 3 kills. Not a lot, but still done something. Another anti-tank for Iroha here. Still, Iroha remains in a bad spot again. This is also, again, partly the way I think this map works. It tends to create, a lot more, shall we say, stop-gap situation like bottleneck situations. Because the way the hedges work when they're set up. Creating a lot of boxes. You can quickly find yourself boxed in or boxed out, if you will, depending on the situation.
Looks like we're getting into the excitement.
Which is, for example, why mortars can be so handy, because it's sporadic the smoke streams are, otherwise allowed to punch through the boxes. But it's also why Osttruppen are something you have to be mindful of, because they're not great at dealing with these kind of boxes. Western team got the Sherman Lieutenant Grant the 5th coming for the western point here. Because once you got the map sort of reflects from the actual broadcast terrain, which again had a lot of these smaller boxes and they're difficult to move for both armies. They're obviously the Germans defending armies that had the advantage. But there you go, Panther 4 with the main gun knocked out. Let's losing it, Sherman there with a damaged engine. He's got the Panther for safety, and got lucky there, got very lucky. Cross going into heavy fire there, Panther running down here, and the machine gun crew once more knocked out with the Panzerwerfer. We got 22 kills. We got the Shermans in the for Sillycat with 3 Shermans total.
Steppers down to 100 points.
100 points left, in fact less than that here for Iroha. Rifle got routed. And so we got the Osttruppen with cavalry rifle moving up there. 1 kill there. Thompsons and breeze guns later. We got another MD42 for Iroha. But crucially, still no assault infantry. Crucially, no assault infantry. Jumping in there, blasting away there, murdering merrily with the main gun to the machine guns. Cavalry rifle forwards here. Thompson's blazing away there because, yeah, we're going to see if they wipe down the 1842. Armored car down, machine gun down. From this, I think Iroha's defenses are completely falling apart here under Sillycat's relentless assault. Sherman about to get knocked up, leaving in fires of the smoke screen, which, even if it goes down, can support a fresh wave of targets here from Sillycat.
The enemy is now at 75
And with this,
points.
I think Iroha is pretty much out of this. I mean, there's still the Panther with the Panther, still technically a lot of support weapons and infantry problems again. The infantry is Osttruppen.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
And Sillycat clearly knows how to use smoke to some degree here versus the tanks. So there, they should have used the smoke while pushing in there, so that obviously could have been done better. Also, crucially though, Sillycat's getting a lot more fuel than Iroha. Also has more resources and spares, so it doesn't matter as much. There we go, smoking off it on the anti-tanks, and again suddenly things get a lot more frustrating. Panther 4 down, Now there are no tanks left for Iroha. X-tanks all been cleared out here. Osttruppen forward, but again, not assaulting. We got ace level Shamno with 25 kills. A real beast of a commander. Pen through here, Iroha's forces. Leaving not one solo line. But there you go with this. Iroha surrenders. GG, game over. A loss for the Germans, a win for the Americans. Ultimately, again, while Iroha was handling the early game strongly again, which is always the key with the Osttruppen. If you know how to do that, you can typically go quite a bit there. But kind of fell into the spot with some players, which is, mid to late game. They don't know how to make those transitions. Partly, again, they lack the assault infantry to carry on the offensive. But also in this case, did it around too much again. Heavy pants core is, one of the things that sounds nice, but unless you're Refro, most of the time you're not going to make it work. Like typically, just Iroha would be much better off just with more medium armor and more pentagon on this, and then slowly transitioning into it. But then, rather than that, Iroha went for a sharp break into it, and I think that really just hurt their strategy and allowed Sillycat too much room to fall in. When you then factor in as well here that Iroha started playing too much robotically, focused too much on a much narrower front, which benefited their opponent much more. Hang on. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell friends, tell family, doing channel news. This is Pro Links and cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope you all tomorrow again for another episode. Bye.